Senator.
Yeah. Let's change topics, Senator. Both of you say you believe in protecting access to fertility treatments like in vitro fertilization. But the process effectively ended for a while in the state of Alabama after a state Supreme Court decision there. If both Democrats and Republicans agree on protecting IVF, why hasn't it happened?
So it's a great question. It's very important. I'm going to get to it in a second because I do need to respond to what Congressman Allred just said before.
Seconds.
Which is, I said at the outset there's a difference between words and actions. If you noticed on LNG, what Congressman Allred said is, well, I wrote an op-ed about it, and it's true. He does claim he supports LNG. But when it came time to vote, there was a vote in the House of Representatives, do you support Joe Biden's ban on new permits on LNG? And Congressman Allred voted with Joe Biden. He voted against Texas jobs. By the way, in South Texas, there's an $18 billion new LNG export terminal struck down by left-wing judges, the kind of judges Congressman Allred supports. That cost 6,000 high-paying jobs in South Texas. This is an agenda where his record, yes, his words sound good, but his voting record, remember his first 4 years in the House, he voted 100% with Nancy Pelosi. He didn't deviate on a single vote, which meant he voted against oil and gas and Texas jobs repeatedly. All right, IVF, incredibly important topic. I am the author of legislation that would protect IVF as a matter of federal statutory right. I joined with Alabama Senator Katie Britt to put a clear protection of IVF. I strongly support IVF. You ask why it hasn't passed? Because Democrats, very cynically, they stood up and objected. Why? Because they want to campaign on the issue, and if my legislation had passed, it would be unequivocal in federal law that IVF is protected for every American, and it is Democrats who blocked it.
Senator, that is your time. Congressman, IVF, 90 seconds to
listen,
respond.
if Senator Cruz is telling you something that doesn't match with what you're seeing from others, then it's probably because he's lying. I was named by an outside group the most bipartisan Texan in Congress. This is something I've worked at, not just in an election year, like he's trying to change his image in this election year. I've done it over the course of my 6 years in Congress. Let's talk about IVF. Because IVF didn't need protecting until he got his way of going after it. No one was thinking that we needed to protect IVF until he was singularly responsible for pursuing, by putting in place judges at the district court level, the circuit court level, and Supreme Court level, folks who would put at risk this miracle technology. And you know what? It's not just that. When he ran for president in 2016, he supported the personhood amendment. You know what that means? That would make something like IVF illegal. It would also ban certain forms of birth control. You did. Yep. You did. When you ran for president in 2016, you can look it up, folks. You don't have to believe me. Again, you've been seeing him lie to you for 12 years. Let's have a senator who doesn't. And I will always protect IVF, but it was at risk because of him.
Senator, 60 seconds for a rebuttal.
Well, let me say on IVF, you can watch the debate on the Senate floor where I tried to pass strong, clear federal legislation protecting IVF, and the Democrats stood up and objected it cynically. But I got to say, there's something Congressman Allred says that he says all the time. He says this independent group rated him the most bipartisan member of the Texas delegation. And I got to say, I found that quite odd, so I went and looked at this group. Because how can someone who votes 100% with Nancy Pelosi, which is what he did his first 4 years, how can he be bipartisan? How can Colin Allred? Colin Allred voted 100% with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris their first 2 years in office. How could he be called the most bipartisan member? And then I discovered this group. Its board consists of a bunch of Democrat donors. They say on their website, we don't look at votes. We don't examine every vote. So he can vote. He votes exactly like Nancy Pelosi. But yet this group gives him camouflage.
Okay, let me
100. True or false? Your first 4 years in the House, you voted 100% with Nancy Pelosi. True or false?
Senator, that's your time. Congressman, you can
respond.
Please, Congressman, you can respond in the next question here. We're almost out of time. You can respond in the next question.